our second unit for throw-ups. We're going to talk about some of the terminology that is used in throw-ups. So first of all, a throw-up itself is sometimes called a softie. Now, first of all, it's called a throw-up because it's something that you throw up pretty quickly. So it's something that's done, believe it or not, in 1 to 2 minutes. And throw-ups are usually 1 to 2 colors. So it can be something like with a fill, which is the inside color, and the outline. And sometimes it's just the outline. Throw-ups are always bubble shapes. And the reason why they're bubble shapes, that's part of being able to do it quickly. So it goes with the spray paint and sort of like movement of your arm to be able to do those really quickly. The letters overlap because you don't have time to make sure you have all these straight edges and everything's all perfect. The inside of the letter, so you see here like for the letter A or for the letter B, there's no hollows, there's no spaces in between the letters. Everything's connected sort of together, and they're pretty large. They can be a few feet high. They can be as big as you want them to be. But the goal for a throw-up is to cover as much space as possible, as quickly as possible. Okay? So throw-ups, they could be your whole tag name. So for globe, he could write globe. Or quite often, to do something quick, he would just write 3 letters, globe, G-L-O. And you know that's also him as well. So again, so a definition of a throw-up. It's 1 to 2 colors. There's an outline and there's a fill. Sometimes, of course, if you want to take it up a notch, you can add in more colors. You can add in more designs. You can add in a fat line around it, which we'll talk about in a second. But again, when you start to add more details and artisticness to it, then your chances of getting caught increase because it's taking more time. So most of the time it's only 1 to 2 colors. So again, they take 1 to 2 minutes. And the way that they can do that is because remember we talked about the spray paint and using a fat cap, a wide cap, so it will cover a large amount of area really quickly. And that's how you can do that quickly. And then you can use a skinny cap or a regular cap just to do the outline. They're always bubble letters, and that's because they're done quicker. They're done with the motion of your arm or your body when you're spray painting. There's no negative space because you don't have time to go in and make sure everything's perfect and do something in the background. Again, so it's quantity over quality. So of course you get respect for having a quality throw up, but the goal is just like a tag to put as many throw ups as possible everywhere you can. The bigger the better. The bigger that you can do it in a short amount of time, the better. Okay, so that's the definition of a throw-up. So in terms of style, generally throw-ups, they look very similar to each other because they are traditionally bubble letters because of all the rules. So there is a classic sort of simple style that's sort of developed, but of course, always with graffiti, the goal is to make sure that you have as much unique style as you can. So that's when it comes to really playing with the letters and practicing. So lines shouldn't be difficult to make at all. So again, what we talked about when you're spray painting, you're just actually taking your whole body motion to kind of make all those round letters. So there's few stops and starts. So when you're outlining a letter, it should all be done pretty much with one sweeping motion as much as you can. Okay? So throw up letters, there's no blank space. So inside the letter, like we talked about the E's and the P's, it's just a line. There's no hollows. So again, we talked about how each letter you're going to make out of one line as much as possible. So that helps with your speed. Now filling it, you don't always have to fill in a throw up. So you can see sometimes throw-ups that are filled in pretty solid, but also sometimes you'll see them thrown in like this, which is something called a scratch fill. And you need to fill it in if you're covering up tags or throw-ups, because otherwise if you just do an outline, you won't be able to really see your throw-up. So to help with the speed is something called a scratch fill. So you don't use a lot of paint, which allows you to go and do more throw ups in one night. But this is called a scratch fill technique, and so it helps with speed. So it's just going back and forth really quickly, making the lines, consistent back and forth for the 2 points. So that's called a scratch fill. So you will see some scratch fills, you will see some without any fill at all, and then you will see some totally filled really well. So again, the letters overlap, and that helps for like not having any spaces at all between. And it's okay for, parts of the lines to come up and overlap, because we don't have time to be perfect when you're spray painting for your throw-ups. So here are some examples of throw-up alphabets. So you can see how there's different ways that writers, put in the insides for an A or a D, for example, right? You can use uppercase, you can use lowercase, but again, all the letters are sort of soft. It doesn't mean that you can't have any straight lines. It's just most of the lines are going to be very bubble letters. So throw-ups with just an outline are called hollows. So this works if you're painting on a fresh wall, if you're not painting over top of other throw-ups or tags, because that way, one, you can still do your throw-up and it's done quickly, and two, it's still, you can still see it. So a hollow is just done with the outlines. You can see for this one there's also some 3D added to it, but it's not colored in. So a fill-in, so it's done with, again, a fat cap, so it's done quickly. It could be a scratch fill, or it could be a solid fill like this, so they're done with a single color. The outline is done with a second color with a different cap that's not a fat cap, so either like a regular cap or a skinny cap. And the 3D around it is also the same color as your outline. So that's why you have 2 colors. So one color if it's just going to be a hollow, 2 colors if you're going to have a fill, whether it's a scratch fill or a full fill, and the outline. Now, if you have more time, or if there's a lot of other stuff around on the wall and you really want your throw up to pop up, then you can add something called a fat line. And a fat line is this line that goes all the way around the outside of your entire design. And it could be the same color as your fill, it could be another color that makes it pop. But again, that sort of solidifies everything and makes it stand out amongst everything else that's going on. So again, when you do stuff like that, you're adding more time to it, which means that you're adding more time for you to get caught. But again, if you get really good at this, and it takes less time, so more practice, it takes less time, and your stuff gets better. And okay, so those are all the different sort of terms for throw up. So what I want you to do next is to check for your understanding about the evolution of throw ups, and with phase 2 and some of the terminology when it comes to throw ups. And I want you to do a quick quiz. Okay, and we'll see you next after your quiz I'm going to show you how to make a throw up. All right, thanks.